Hello, welcome to Automation and beamng.drive. Today we are making a 1976 Limo with a fiberglass body panels and a steel ladder chassis, front transverse engine placement and double wishbone suspension front and rear. As for the engine, we are going to be going with a 90-degree cast iron V8 using a pushrod valve type. We are going to be making a probably 7.5 litre maybe. Yeah, 7.5 litre sounds good. Cast plane, cast conrods, cast pistons, and a harmonic damper. We're going to be giving it mechanical fuel injection, single configuration, and we're going to go with a standard mid preset. It's going to be using 91 octane unleaded fuel on a cast mid header, dual exhaust, 3-way catalytic converter, no front muffler, and a reverse flow second muffler. Gonna need to reduce the all RPM, reduce the cam profile so that it can rev a bit lower, reduce the springs and lifters as well, and you know what, let's make it a bit stronger so that we can rev that little bit higher. About 4,600 is good. Just gonna do some tweaking, just optimize the engine a bit, and I'll be back in a moment. So, now that I've done a quick tune, we are going to listen to how it sounds. You will be boosted by about 20% probably, so that you can hear it a bit better, but yeah, sounds pretty good. Let's head on to the drivetrain. Obviously front wheel drive because it is a transverse engine. Probably couldn't fit all wheel drive, although this era probably wouldn't be transverse all wheel drive anyway. We're going to make it a automatic gearbox 4-speed on a clutched LSD. We'll deal with the other stuff later, that's not really important. So we're going to do radial tyres, as this is after the fuel crisis. We're going to go on a medium compound, because that's the most comfortable. Probably going to leave these widths and diameters the same, but again, do that later. Alloy rims, vented disc at the front, solid disc at the rear. I imagine this is going to be quite heavy, especially being a ladder chassis. Fully clad under tray, again, we'll deal with that stuff later. Handmade interior, why not? Luxury 8-track system, hydraulic rack and pinion steering, advanced 70 safety, hydro pneumatic springs, twin tube dampers, and passive sway bars. See you after the tuning. After some minor tuning, it gets a 2-minute 50 around the automation test track. Now on to designing the car. And here we are in beamng.drive. This is the Evergreen Motors Lungback. Ignore the export error. And we're going to be driving around West Coast, USA on the Street Course 1, as I've never driven it before. And let's see how it does. Off to a bit of a slow start, which is surprising given how much power this thing has, but that might just be because it's an automatic. Ooh, brakes are good, no locking up until I started turning. Speaking of turning, I'd say probably at city speeds, below the speed limit, but at city speeds you can turn pretty good, and then in a more urban area, or less urban area rather, more suburban area, this thing would probably do fine, especially on American roads, which seem to be built for wide vehicles. This thing, a bit long, probably longer than the average Ford F-150, but yeah. Parking would be an issue, but, you know, when you're rich, it doesn't really matter. Seems to be taking these jumps well, or rather these steep hills. Ouch. Radiator's leaking, but that's fine. Oh goodness, that crumple zone. I'm really putting the crumple in the word crumple zone now. Hopefully this thing doesn't overheat over the next lap and a half. And that was solid. Let's see what I can do when we get back here. I'm gonna be honest, just remembered this thing has a sports gearbox option, which is nice. Oh. But I suck at driving, so it didn't really help. Yeah, so this thing, at high speeds, it's very much a boat. That's in part due to the really long wheelbase, but also because it is front-wheel drive, so it's like these massive tyres that we have at the front here, like, you can't do too much with them power-wise, because like, at max we've got like 380 horsepower, I believe it was, going through them, and then also trying to turn with that on a medium compound, not gonna happen. So we just gotta try our best to not crash. So, coming up past the mechanic shop, up to the bus stop, we got brake fade. That's to be expected with a vehicle this heavy. We're back up to the starting line now. If we do a Control-Shift-N, they'll go backwards through the thing, and of course the UI is motion blurred, because why not? So that's 2,663 kilos. It's a heavy boy. That explains the brake fade, it also explains why the brakes are so good, and it explains why it's so slow to accelerate. Because this thing, it is a boat, like I'd imagine a boat would. No, maybe like a small yacht would weigh this much. So I guess you could consider this thing a land yacht then. Pretty apt description. So on the downhill, on the second lap, still doing pretty well. Again, got the brake fade, because, you know, front brakes, they're doing a hefty ton of work. But it's doing it well. Oh no. I'm not steering right, you can see. That's how tyres want to be. Yeah, something tells me we're not going to be finishing this. And, oh wait, no, this thing does have an LSD. So what I can do is just go. Oh, that didn't go as planned, but it worked. We've deflated the front left tyre though, so my plan of just driving along in just on three wheels, just not working. Yeah, so this thing got a lap time of 2 minutes 18 seconds. Next, I'd say we're going to see how well it does on the automation test track handling circuit. So this is going to be difficult in more ways than one, as this track, hell for long wheelbase vehicles as well as front wheel drive vehicles, as again you're using the front wheels for both power and for steering, which is not going to work the greatest. Something I have noticed is that Chrome is exporting properly again, so good job in Infinity or for fixing it. Even if, like, yeah, I don't know what I'm trying to say here. So, coming up, first checkpoint in 32 seconds. I don't know how good that is, but handling these decently. We've not yet hit highway speed, but it's taking the crests good, it's taking the tight corners well. I don't believe we've done a hairpin yet, but I very well could be wrong. Coming up near to the end now, there's a hairpin coming up, which is good. Bit of brake lockage, but that's okay. You do it pretty well. Like, this is a pretty good handling car. It's just long. Like, I'd imagine if this thing was shorter, it would be a lot better for performance. But yeah, other than that, one lap in 1 minute 36 seconds. They got it slowed down and turned in there. But we're going good. Hopefully this thing does well. Maybe we can improve by a decent amount of time. We'll see when we get to the first checkpoint how much time we gain on a flying lap as opposed to a standing start, which is about 4 seconds. So I'd say we're going to say 4 seconds really, because there's no real other areas to gain time from a standing start other than just learning the track and driving it better. Ouch. Next, I think we're going to do a suspension test, see how bouncy it is. Already seems to have some mild bounce to it sometimes. The rollover is pretty good, the body roll rather. It's pretty good, doesn't roll too much. Rolls about as much as I'd expect from this car. Cannot speak. And yeah, overall pretty good. Excited to try this thing out a bit more. But coming up to the line now, we're going to crash into a tyre barrier here, just for fun. That was a 5G impact, goodness. That would have been painful. And I think we've got some suspension damage or something at the front because it's a bit slow to accelerate. Yeah, so slower second lap, still pretty good. And yeah, let's test out the suspension. And here we are in the grid map at the suspension testing site. We're going to be going over a couple of these. Starting off with this first one here. Does it pretty well, like nothing's happening, as you would expect from a hydro pneumatic suspension. Let's set the old cruise control to 60 kilometers an hour so that we can do some better testing. Go over this road here, see how well it does on this very bumpy bit of terrain. Handling it pretty well at 60 kilometers an hour. Pretty good. Then let's test it on this old bit of cobbled road. See if this thing will be good in a place like Italy. Bit of noise, but bit of wiggle too. So you probably spill your drink slightly, but does it pretty well. This one I'm not going to be taking at full speed. Yeah. If you somehow encounter something like that, you're just doomed. Let's reverse out of it if we can. Yeah. Oops. Beached it. Let's try it over these speed bumpy things. And we're just going to reset the car here. And let's go across. Let's try it a bit slower. Yeah. Let's try that again, but only go over one side of it. That'll be a better test for going over speed bumps. And it appears that it scrapes quite a lot underneath. Let's see, can we actually find a speed bump? I don't know, let's try it on this very pothole road here. So, driving along, honestly, handles potholes brilliantly. It's like nothing's happening at all, well, until you hit them at too high of a speed. But yeah, that does really well. Let me find a speed bump somewhere, and I'll be right back. Found them. I swear, if I said, and I'll be right back in that last clip, I'm gonna be so annoyed because I accidentally pressed the pause button too early. Yeah, wouldn't recommend going over them at that speed, let's just say that. Let's go back. Let's try them at a reasonable speed of 10. So it does scrape, so for next time I'll know I need to make it a bit higher, but it takes them pretty good. If it wasn't for the scraping, then you'd be taking them perfectly. Let's see what else we can do. Oh, I know. We can jump it off a ramp. Just had a cursed idea. Imagine this thing around Bathurst, or even Monaco. That would be disaster waiting to happen. Now, this thing is extremely heavy. I'm not expecting this thing to go very far whatsoever. So I'm gonna guess probably 190, if that. Oh, never mind, it just flies. Bam, 450 with the rear wheels. See if we can get this thing slowed down. Mr. President, no! Never mind, Mr. President's fine, he just has a minor case of whiplash. And yeah, thank you very much for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe for more content. I try to upload once every week, sometimes I forget to record, like I did yesterday. Oh well. And yeah, feel free to go into the comments or onto my Discord to suggest video ideas that you want to see from me. And yeah, hope to see you next time. Goodbye.